Welcome to episode 24 of the Hot Mess Roundtable. I'm Lauren, and this week I am a hot mess because I am discouraged from all the therapy that my kids are in that doesn't seem to be working. So,
oh no.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it before, but half of my kids, both my girls, are in therapy. Between the two of them, we have 3 therapy appointments a week, and Goldie's in speech therapy. Hasn't learned a damn thing, has not learned any new sounds, has not learned any new signs, not for lack of trying on the speech therapist's part. She's amazing, but Goldie just doesn't seem to be interested in doing anything other than So that's fun. And then
she'll get it though.
I mean,
eventually she'll be like Helen and just talking.
I hope so. Apparently there's something called Gestalt language development where they go from like really not talking at all to just talking in complete sentences. Mm-hmm. And it's possible that that's what she has. Abe was more like that. So I don't know. We'll see. But it's very frustrating to communicate with her.
And younger kids, I think, tend to talk later anyway, right? Because the older kids talk for them.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I've always kind of heard that too. And that was definitely the case with Abe. But it's just like she can't even, like very simple things. Like she wants her cup of milk, and instead of like signing for cup or even pointing at the cup or saying cup, she just and she's 18 months old, so it's kind of time for her to start saying words other than dada. And then Helen has OT, and she has behavioral therapy. The things that we were working on, we haven't made any progress on this summer. Mainly her not peeing her pants. Nothing has improved there. But we did have another autism eval for her today. It's a 3-step process, and it was the first step in the process. This is her second eval. The last one came back that she was not autistic but had sensory processing disorder. But that was a virtual console or a virtual process with As You Are. And this is through Arc of the Ozarks, so it's in person. So I'm hoping they'll be able to pick up on the stuff that I see as her parent that they were not able to do virtually.
Yeah.
So she's girls are harder to diagnose, especially high functioning girls on the spectrum are harder to diagnose because they a lot of times they display symptoms differently than boys, than like the typical spectrum. I guess they're the typical traits of kids on the spectrum. And then also she's high masking. So she's really good at basically pretending at to be like completely normal.
That's rough.
So that's where we're at. Yeah. It's going to be several months before we get to do the second step of the process. So it's long and slow.
Is she excited to go back to school?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. No.
Oh.
I'm very much dreading this school year. And that's one thing I told the gal today. I was like, she's got to get it right this year.
Right.
Like we're repeating kindergarten. You can't repeat it for a third time. Like it's this or there's no like repeating this.
Now, do you think her going with her cousin will help a little bit?
Yes, I do. I think that is a positive. I think seeing her friends from last year be a grade older than her is going to be a negative.
That's going to be hard for her. Yeah.
Thankfully, we met with the principal, and there's 2 of the 3 kindergarten classes in that building are like separate, like they're back behind the library, and just the way that the distance is from the other classes. And the class she was in last year was the classroom that's right by like the first grade rooms. And so we've decided this year, I don't know who her teacher will be, but it's going to be one of the 2 that are in the back. So it's not, she's not seeing all those first graders.
It's not going to be all in her face every day.
Exactly.
That'll be good.
Yeah. And those at least one of them has a bathroom in the classroom too, which hopefully will help with her accidents. So, but yeah, I'm sure I'll get to be very familiar with those classrooms back behind the library. So.
She is a whole year older, so
we'll see.
We'll see.
Yep.
I'm Jordan, and I'm a hot mess this week because I forgot to hit record and didn't record the first 10 minutes of the podcast. We had to go back and redo it. No, I am a hot mess. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a hot mess story that I actually meant to tell a couple weeks ago on air, and I forgot. But then I was thinking about it today, and I was like, I should have told that. I told Amanda off air. But okay, I was in my office. So I came down. I'm in my office, like normal day at work, and I just smell something kind of burning.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, what the hell's burning? What's on fire? And it smells kind of electrically. And I'm like, I don't know. And we have this dryer downstairs that we've been fighting with. Thor's taken it apart like 12 times. And I keep telling him like a new dryer is like literally $600. Like we can just go get a new dryer. And it's like a personal thing now where like he has to win against the dryer.
But he's pretty thrifty too, right? Like he doesn't want to spend money.
He doesn't want to spend money. And he's also very handy. And like the fact that this dryer might
So this isn't challenge
beat
now.
him. Yeah, like this is personal. And so we thought he had the dryer fixed. Like he took it apart, put new parts in it, like thought he had it fixed. And so now I'm smelling something burning. And I'm like, is it the dryer? And so I go downstairs, but it's not, I don't smell it downstairs where the dryer is. And I'm like, okay, come back up to the main level. And I'm like, it's definitely on the main level. So I go upstairs and I kind of smell it in the bedroom I have like a little dressing room area where I have like a vanity and my shoes and stuff. It has a little separate room. And I kind of smell it in there. And I'm like, okay, so it's like in this, and that's like right above where my office is. So I'm like, okay, so it's like this general area, right? So go back downstairs and I can smell it. I'm like, it's in my office. It's like, it's coming from my office. And so I call Thor. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, working. He's like, we're on our way to Bolivar. And I'm like, well, shit. Okay. Like, how close to Bolivar are you? Because the house might be burning down. I'm just not really sure. And I don't know what the right protocol here is. And he's like, okay. So he and Tyler turn around. So his best friend Tyler, who's on the Fish and Chips podcast with him, they're on their way to Bolivar. So they turn around, they come back, they come in, and they're like scurrying around looking for the smell. And they're like, oh yeah, no, it's definitely some sort of electrical smell. And I'm like, well, thank God. Like, it'd be really bad if they walked in and they were like,
there's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong, Jordan. What'd you do? Like calling us off of our job, you know? No, they find it. It's one of my lamps. It's one of my Amazon lamps. I have these beautiful golden seed glass lamps in my office. And one of them, like the component inside the lamp burnt up and was like really hot and smoking in the wires.
That's scary.
It was scary because I never would have figured it out if they hadn't like come and figured it out. And thankfully they work in AV, so like they're used to smelling hot wire. Like they knew the smell and were like, no, this is something.
Right.
So they found it, and so they unplug it, and I'm like, is that lamp just like, are we gonna fix that? And they're both like, no, that's a trash can lamp now. And I'm like, oh no.
And sure enough, they just put it in the kitchen
trash can. They put it in the kitchen trash can.
No, even better than that, they put it in the kitchen recycling bin. And I was like, yeah, we can't recycle that shit. Thank you. Yeah, that's why I'm a hot mess. I almost burned down the house and I had to make Thor and Tyler come save me.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you have a great husband, though.
Yes.
It's so nice.
He turned around and came back.
It was very nice of him to come. It was very nice of Tyler to come in with him.
And did you get a new lamp? Have you replaced it?
Not yet. I don't know, because I loved those lamps. And I was like, do I buy the same lamp? Because that might be a sore spot in my marriage if I brought in another.
Brought in the same one.
But the other lamp is doing fine in there. And maybe I just leave that one lamp in there. I don't know. At some point, my mom will come over and she'll tell me what to do. This is how these things work. Or you guys can go in there and tell me. Like, so I need somebody to look at it and tell me, like, one lamp is fine. Because I also got a bigger monitor that basically covered that other whole lamp. I'm hitting my mic stand, sorry. I basically got a big monitor that covered the whole other lamp, so it wasn't doing a whole lot anyway. So maybe I just only need the one lamp. I don't know. I need somebody to tell me. These are not decisions I can make on my own.
We'll have to go look at it, Laura.
Yeah, go look at it.
We'll consult.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm Amanda, and I'm a hot mess this week because I'm trying to make sure everybody's ready for school, and Jake's ready, and because he's been bored all summer. After we got done with all of our trips, and now he's just like sitting at home. He's bored.
Yep.
So he's going to spend the weekend at my dad's, and my stepmom's down on the lake and fish. And Cliff and I are actually going to spend the weekend in Branson at a condo he rented.
Yay!
So
That's nice.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I need a mental break. I think I've just been kind of down the last couple weeks, and I don't know. So I think I'm just ready to get away and not think about anything and just kind of just veg. So
I love that for you.
So
Yeah, you get a nice relaxing weekend. Jake will have a ton of fun, I'm
yeah,
sure.
Cameron's gonna be home by herself. She'll be happy as a clam.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
So is Jake not like the teenager that wants to sleep all day in the summer?
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like he's
But
up,
then he wakes up in his
he's up till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Like there's been mornings I've got up to go to work and he's up still playing video games, and I'm like, this is not okay. Like you are getting ready to start school, and we've got to get your wires all fixed again. So like this morning I got up to get ready for work. It was like 4:45, 4:50, and his TV was still on, and he was passed out. So I just went and turned his TV off, and Cliff always tries to wake him up before he goes to work, so he feeds the dogs. But he's just like, he just sits in there and plays video games all day, and I'm like, I'm done with this. So yeah, so he's gonna go spend the weekend and go fish and hang out with my dad and my stepmom.
Good. That'd be
for
good for
him.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I think it'll be really good for him. So
Maybe when he gets back, he can start his new routine.
that's what I'm thinking.
get back in the groove.
Starting like Monday, I gotta cut it off at like 9:30, 10, and be like, you've got to get it. You've got to get in a routine because it's gonna be hard that first night if you aren't.
The first whole week.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not terrible. It's not a lamp burning down the house. Hot mess.
I mean, it could be worse. It did not burn down the house.
That's
Thank
true.
goodness.
Actually
That's true.
burned down.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Thank goodness.
Yes. Thank goodness. So what are we drinking tonight?
Oh, you know what we're drinking tonight? We're drinking whatever Jordan had in her fridge.
And it's really good.
It is really good.
It was a bottle of what I am sure is cheap ass champagne. I have no idea. It is not Cook's. So it is maybe a step above, maybe a step below. I don't know where. I don't even know where the champagne came from. I just noticed I had it,
Well,
and I
that's
was
good.
like,
was it already
nice.
open?
No. If you open champagne, you got to drink the whole.
Well,
bottle.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But it was in my fridge.
You don't
So
know
it
where
was
came from.
chilling.
Yeah, well, I like to keep a couple bottles of something in there for a long day. So I had it. It's just sitting in there. Yeah, I don't even remember when I got it. So we have that, and so we made mimosas with my favorite juice is crane grape, and so we did that. So I think we've done cranberry mimosas before, and so these are crane grape. So maybe we'll just do like a podcast full of like how many different flavors of mimosa can we possibly make?
We can just go down the juice aisle.
That's right.
And put one of everything in the cart.
I'll drink them all.
Yeah.
Drink 'em all.
every single one of them.
Oh, goodness.
That'll be
But
great.
they are
This is
good. So
yeah. And I also would like to mention, and you'll see in the picture on our Facebook group, but Jordan made them to the top.
yes, they were filled to the top for us.
Glasses
Yes, their
in
glass
my family
are filled.
are filled to the top. I was taught that you
This
fill
is
your
like
glass.
this is like a normal fill, I would think, but no, Jordan, these were to the top. But
You
they're
know what?
good.
Here's the thing, though. I may have pre-gamed one of these before you guys even showed up. So we've poured 4 of these, and we're still like halfway through the champagne bottle.
Oh.
So, yeah,
We'll be
we're
good.
fine. We're totally fine.
We're totally good. So cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Matt asked me last night, we were watching The Sopranos, or he was watching The Sopranos. I was reading my book. And he said, God, can you imagine drinking a whole bottle of wine?
I've done it.
Yeah,
I
and
know
I was
Jordan's
like,
done it.
Yes,
Yep.
I have done that.
Yes, we
and he
have.
was like, a whole bottle? Obviously, he's not a wine drinker. And I was like, yeah, a whole bottle. It's really easy to do.
Well, depending on your mood, it can be really, really easy, or it can be like, ugh, I'm done.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I feel like when I'm in a wine mood, I'm usually really tired anyway. And I
Yeah.
feel like the wine is just so relaxing that I'll get like 1.5 glasses in of my Hawkins family wine. So that's, maybe a little more than a glass or 2. And I will all of a sudden be like, I'm so tired. I have
I'm
to
going
go
to bed.
sleep.
Yeah.
Right. My dad, it's really easy for him to sit down with, a dark red and just drink a whole bottle, no problem. Like he is way better at it than me. Wine makes me tired.
All alcohol makes me tired because I'm fucking old. and I have 4 kids.
You are younger than me.
Yeah, you're both younger than me, and but you do have
It's the
4 kids.
It's the 4 kids. Vodka does not make me tired.
No, vodka does not make me tired.
Champagne doesn't make me tired. Really, wine though. Wine does make me tired. But I can still get through a bottle if I try hard enough.
Yeah,
Have you
me
ever
too.
used the little things, what are they, that you put in there and it's supposed to take out like the impurities or whatever that make you have hungover?
Oh yeah, I haven't actually used them, but I've seen them.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've never used
I was
one.
just going to ask if they worked. But
They have some that are like this bottle pourer, like they go in the bottle, and so when they pour it, it does that. And they have others that are like sticks that you put inside your glass. Yeah, I've never tried them.
I'll have to try it because wine does give me a hangover. I mean, well,
Gives me a headache.
let's be honest, everything gives me a hangover at this point. But wine, especially.
I have had very few, possibly no hangovers in my entire life. Now I have drank until I threw up.
I was like, challenge
Don't get me
accepted,
wrong.
Jordan.
Yeah. I like my bachelorette party is the drunkest I've ever been, and it was not good. And that was my family that did that to me. That was my cousin and my sister who were like, drink some more. But yeah, I drank a lot that night and was not hungover the next day.
Oh my Lord, you didn't do it right.
I don't know that I've ever been truly hungover where I had like a headache or like felt sleepy or like whatever they say the hangover symptoms are. I don't feel like I've had that.
I swear to God, hungover Monday after going to dinner on Sunday night and doing the wine pairing with our dinner, which was 6 pours, but they're little. They're like a third of a glass.
They're not like a Jordan pour.
No, it was like a third of a glass. So it worked out to maybe be 2 full glasses of wine. And I did have a watermelon mojito before we went to dinner. And I just felt like shit Monday.
Oh my God.
Fascinating.
So it does not take much.
I wonder if that's in my genes. You know, my parents both did the 23andMe testing. I've never done it, but I feel like I should.
What is that? Okay.
You don't know what 23andMe is?
I do not.
You test your DNA.
Yeah, you test your
Genetic
DNA.
testing.
But I remember like I haven't looked at it super closely in a long time, but I remember like there was like if you're more apt to like salty or sweet and, you know.
Ancestry had the same thing.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I did was Ancestry.
They did both. They did Ancestry and then they turned around and did 23andMe. I think because because 23andMe, I think it's more of that kind of stuff. Ancestry has a lot of like you're this percent this. Let me tell you, my parents are like the whitest humans on the planet. Like they're just Irish and like Welsh peasants. And that's it. Like it's real white.
Oh, wow.
Real white. Like it's sad, the lack of diversity in my family tree. But yeah, they had like, and so it also tells you, the 23andMe test tells you like if you have, if you're more apt to have certain diseases or, you know, like certain, like there's just all this stuff. So it's pretty cool. But I wonder if one of the things, I don't actually know, we're going to Google it here really fast. I don't know if the 23andMe tells you if you're more apt to get a hangover.
That would be a cool, like if it's something you're genetically disposed to.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know. Mine.
Alcohol flush reaction.
Like whether you get red.
This gene contains instructions for making a protein that helps the body process alcohol.
I could see where that would be related. Also, like the way your body
I usually get
metabolizes.
real red.
You do when you drink.
Mm-hmm.
I will say whatever Ancestry is always coming out with new, like, I mean, I don't have to resubmit anything, but they're always coming out with new traits.
Mm-hmm.
And the last that they came out with had to do with athleticism. And it was
How'd that go for you?
all wrong. It was like,
you should be a track star.
exactly. And I was like, the fuck?
No.
I've met your dad, and I believe that to be true. Like, your dad is an athletic build.
You think?
He's so skinny.
He's real skinny now. He's teeny tiny. He like weighs less than I do. But he wasn't an athlete at all.
And your brothers are both kind of an athletic build type.
Yeah.
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 Like they have they're muscly guys.
I mean, yeah, they could be if they went to the gym.
Yeah.
Well, one brother has been going to the gym and he's like teeny tiny, super like fit right now. Like lost all his fat. The other brother, he likes beer a lot.
It happens.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
And not the gym, and he'll tell you that himself.
All right, guys. This week we are talking all about women we admire.
Yeah.
Other than women at this table.
Yeah.
I I admire you girls so much.
Oh, for real.
Because you're like some of the strongest women I know. And I think it takes guts to like come on here and talk about what a hot mess we are. Like,
I agree.
you know, a couple weeks ago we had Brandy and Robin, and I felt like that was really brave of them to come out here. And Robin was just like, and I did this that made me a hot mess, and I did this. Like, she just kept spouting off and like, and I messed this up. And I was like, you don't have to just like confess everything.
Yeah.
But like, she was so brave to do it.
They're both open books.
Yeah.
Both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Super
thought it was
brave.
so good.
I only surround myself with brave women. So
I think that's a good
I don't know what to tell you.
policy.
Yeah.
Well, we thought this would be a good week to do it. We're recording this at the beginning of August. So it'll be several weeks before it airs. So this will be old news by then. But for us, it's still relatively new news that Kamala Harris is now the running for president. And she's the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party because we have not actually technically had the Democratic convention yet. We're not going to get into politics too deeply
Nope.
on this podcast. I think you can probably guess what some of our political leanings are. But we're not going to get into it because we think all women are strong regardless of their political views. However, I found a couple TikToks or just stumbled across some TikToks, which my TikTok is probably a feminist haven anyway. But I found some that I thought were really good, specifically talking about women running for president. The first one was a social psychologist that studies women's like gender, like a social psychologist that specifically studies gender.
Okay.
Gender studies.
Yeah.
That's a thing, right? Gender studies.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I've had a bunch of the champagne now and I don't know. Yes, I think that is. I think it is. Don't let me pregame anymore. I think it is.
Listen, we walked into you holding an empty glass.
Yeah,
I don't know
we did.
It was a
what
really
you want us to do.
long day at work. So she was saying, though, that regardless of whether you like Kamala Harris or you don't, regardless of whether you're Democratic, Republican, Libertarian, it does not matter. One thing we should all agree on is when we refer to her and her opponent, we should either discuss Harris and Trump or Kamala and Donald. It is not okay to say Kamala and Trump, because we have a tendency to give men more respect by using their last name and to informalize women by using their first name. We did it with Hillary.
Yep.
And now we're doing it with Kamala. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. It does not matter if you like her or not as a candidate, but we can agree that she deserves the same level of respect as her
Right.
male counterpart.
Right.
Very
No, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that is
I had
interesting.
not even noticed, even
Until somebody
paid
points it
attention
out to you.
that. Right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I could argue for Clinton being called Hillary because her husband, I could see where there'd be confusion when you just say Clinton because he was a past president. If you're talking about, in relation to a presidency, but when you're comparing the two candidates, yeah, you'd put them on equal footing. Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, the second TikTok I found
Okay.
that I also thought was very interesting was Gerald Ford talking in front of a bunch of kindergartners. And when he first started, I was like, this is not going to go the way I want it to go. But it did. It ended out well, especially I feel like, for Gerald Ford's time, I thought it ended up well. So this little girl, like kindergarten, second grade, I don't know, just a little girl. He's talking to his class of kids. This little girl asks, President Ford, do you think there will ever be a woman named president? And he said, yeah, I think someday there will. And he said, this is President Ford that said this. He said, I'll tell you how I think it'll happen. He said, I think eventually we will get to a point in our society where we elect a male president who has a female vice president running mate. And so they'll be elected on a ticket together, male president, female vice president.
Okay.
Then while in office, that male president will die, and the natural succession for the office of president goes to the vice president. And that's how we'll get our first female president. He said, I don't think that she'll be voted in on her own, but we will get our first female president by the president stepping down.
Interesting.
And that's what happened.
This is not the end of the story, but that is almost exactly what happened. I mean, obviously, President Biden didn't die, and, but he stepped aside and let his vice president step up, right? So then he said, but then everybody better watch out, because the second we get a female president, we'll never elect another man.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah, he said women will run this country more effectively and more efficiently and more emotionally neutral than men ever could, and will never go back. Or something along those lines. It was something like that. But it was basically like, once we get a female president, we'll never go back. And I was like, oh, that ended really well, because that could have gone
really
like a very different direction, and it did not.
Especially in his time when he was
Yeah,
president.
exactly.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. So
I love that.
and I thought it was really interesting, because like he was thinking, how would we be willing to elect a woman president? And it's exactly how it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have not elected anybody president, and there's lots of speculation around, polling doesn't always tell the truth, and we don't know what's going to happen in November.
And I was like, we still have a long ways to
we
go.
have a long ways to go, like 100 days left at this point. So it doesn't matter either way. I just thought that was really interesting. I thought it was an interesting take on a past president talking about a female future president.
Yeah, exactly.
But prior to Hillary Clinton running, was there another female that ran for president?
There was.
Was it Geraldine
Ford?
Yes.
Ferraro or something? Right?
Ferrero. Yeah. I can Google it.
I couldn't remember if she
something
ran
like
for president or if she was a vice president on a ticket.
No, she was a former United States representative, and I think she did run for president.
Is it Geraldine Ferraro? Is that what it was?
I think
She was the Democratic Party's nominee for vice president in 1984 presidential election, running alongside Walter Mondale. This made her the first female vice presidential nominee representing a major American political party.
so. Then she was beaten. They were
VP.
beaten by Reagan, right?
Yeah, but she was a VP.
Yeah.
There was a first female presidential. I want to say it was a Republican, actually. Let me look and see.
I mean, I know we had Sarah Palin. She was a VP.
In 1964, Maine Senator Margaret Chase Smith declared her candidacy for the Republican nomination for president, becoming the first woman to actively seek presidential nomination of a major political party.
In 64?
64.
Wow.
It's insane. So 64, and we still haven't elected one.
Yeah.
About damn time.
About damn time. I have, to go along with this, I have an interesting article I found from the Global Citizen, and it says 13 shocking facts about gender inequity around the world. You want to hear some of them?
Yeah. We're going to get really mad. It's probably good that you poured us big drinks.
I have a whole nother half a bottle of champagne.
Thank God.
I could probably find another bottle if we really wanted it. I'm just saying. Okay, the first one says, not a single country in the world has achieved gender equality. On a global level, there's been little progress on gender equality since the global goals were signed in 2015. A third of these countries have made no progress since then, and of these, 18 countries have seen gender inequality worsen.
How do you measure gender equality?
I think it's things like women's rights.
So how do you say when a country becomes equal between the genders?
Oh, here you go. It gives you some examples.
Okay.
South Sudan has some of the highest rates of forced marriage and maternal mortality. In Chad, child marriage is also widespread among girls, reducing girls' education and resulting in one of the highest rates of early childbearing worldwide. Yemeni women cannot marry or receive health care without the permission of the male guardian. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear and obvious when we start taking rights away from women.
No, clearly, yes. And that, yeah. I mean, I think that's super obvious, but I'm thinking in countries where there is more equality.
Well, I think there's things like pay percentages can backslide. You know, women make like pennies on the dollar to what men make. And when that backslides, that's a very measurable form of inequality. Right. Percentages of female CEOs. I mean, I think there's lots of ways. Women who have to leave the workforce during recession periods to stay at home just by default because it was never an option for the male to stay home no matter what the female makes.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's one thing if a family makes that decision together. It's another thing if it's a default of the woman's going to stay home.
Yeah.
Well, and even if you had policy reform in the direction of giving women more rights, there's always going to be subsets of people within a country that, because of their own cultural or religious beliefs are going to probably work against that. I mean, I think of like the church, like the Mormon church that marries, you know, women, girls can get married very young, not across the board, but in some sects. Or, you know, even like the Amish community, or, I mean, there's going to be some sects, SECTS,
Yeah.
of the population, not to be confused with the female sex, SEX, but the some sects of the population that are always going to be behind the times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that goes right along with this point. This one says 12 million girls under 18 are married each year.
That's crazy to me.
12 million girls. Can you imagine
Under 18?
one of your girls getting married under the age of
God,
18?
no.
I can't imagine being married before I was 18.
I wasn't married before I was 18.
Wild.
Yeah, that's...
Most often, this is the marriage of a young girl to an older boy or man. Ugh. Everything about that is gross. Also, I know I'm getting old because my husband and I have started referring to kids under the age of like 25 as kids.
Kids?
Yeah.
Like they'll talk about like, you know, new NFL players or whatever. And I'll be like, oh, he's just a baby.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, oh, I can't believe he's going to, you know, play in this dangerous sport where he's going to get a TBI. He's just a baby. He has his whole life ahead of him. And I'm like, oh, my husband's like, that's how you know you're old.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
thanks.
yeah. But yeah, to think under 18 getting married.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think my mom was 17 when she got married.
My mom was 17 when she got married.
I couldn't even imagine that.
I couldn't either. And who would think?
And my mom was pregnant at 17.
And my parents have like a true love story romance. You know, like they love each other.
Yeah.
And my
Right.
dad would do anything for her. I cannot imagine that is all 12 million of these
God,
girls.
no.
Oh, no. No.
I
No.
cannot imagine.
I would
that
say
is.
that's probably a very small
portion.
percentage.
Yeah.
Very, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would be very interested in how many of those girls under 18 are like 12, 13.
Oh, God. That's like my son's age.
Yeah.
That's just...
It's disgusting.
And he just wants to play video games all day.
I don't think I even had my period at that age. I know I hadn't had my period at that age.
It's not okay.
No.
It's not. It's not.
It's cray cray.
One woman or girl is killed by someone in her own family every 11 minutes.
That is terrifying.
Woman or girl.
Yep.
So that would touches on our domestic violence. Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah, globally, there are more than 1 in 10 women and girls aged 15 to 49 who were subjected to sexual and or physical violence by an intimate partner in 2021. 1 in 10.
That is awful. It's such a huge amount of people. I don't know.
Yeah.
130 million girls remain out of school worldwide.
That's sad.
Yeah, like they're just not allowed to go to school.
Yeah. They're not. They have to stay home and
Take care of
take
the house.
care of
or
the house,
babies,
the families.
or-
And yeah, that's...
Women shoulder billions of hours of unpaid childcare globally.
Yeah.
You'd be forgiven for thinking that women doing all the chores around the house is lower down on the list of gender equality priorities. It's just a bit of washing up, right? Well, those hours add up, especially for women and girls who live in poverty and are from marginalized groups, and it keeps them out of schools and jobs. This phenomenon is referred to as unpaid care work. Unrecognized and undervalued, this invisible labor falls largely on mothers and daughters.
It's because they have to stay home and take care of those kids.
Or work a job and then come
And
home.
Work a
and-
job, then come
yeah.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very depressing article.
This is a depressing
is.
article. Okay, this is only going to make it worse.
Thanks. Bottoms up.
It could take another 286 years to remove discriminatory laws for women and girls. 286 years to fix this problem.
Across the whole
well-
world.
Laws that enshrine gender equality, like paying men and women the same money for work, are all crucial to ensuring women have equal legal rights and protections. But gaps remain in many countries, and at the current rate, it may take up to 286 years to secure these legal frameworks.
Well, we'll never see that, and neither will our girls. So, you know,
No.
there you go for that.
That tells me that's a combination of there's a lot to fix, and we're not trying very hard.
Yeah. And we've come a long way, but not far enough.
Just 1 in 3 managers or supervisors is a woman. The glass ceiling continues to hold strong and will do for some time, 140 years to be precise, until women achieve parity at the current pace of change.
It's because there's strong women that are in those roles right now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men can't take that.
Yep, that's exactly it.
That's
Yep.
Women earn just 77 cents for every dollar men earn.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
It really is.
Yeah.
And they're just they're not given the opportunities. I think you see men advance through their
Faster.
careers a lot faster than women. I mean, that's I know I saw that in my career.
And it's interesting because there's a lot of women self-opting to not advance quickly when their kids are young, right? Because
They're taking care of their family.
they want to take care of their family. And no mom wants to be absent from their kids.
No.
I mean, that's just true. So you see a lot of discrimination there, but then you also see a lot of discrimination. I see a lot of discrimination in my own life where people are like, oh, you don't have kids? And it's almost seen as a negative thing. You know, they don't know my infertility journey or anything else, but it's almost seen as like a negative thing of like, oh, so family's not important to you.
Right.
So you don't have good family values.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People go through that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women, whether they've chosen not to have kids or they have just struggled to have them experience that.
Yeah. So it's
Very
like you can't
unfortunate.
win. So if you have kids,
You can't.
if you have kids, you feel like you're losing a battle trying to work because you feel like you aren't doing enough for your family. And if you don't have kids, you're seen as not having the family values or as not family oriented. And
Right.
so not something that an organization wants to promote.
Right.
Right.
It's very unrealistic.
It is. Okay. Well, that was depressing.
I was going
wasn't
to say, that was depressing.
That was super depressing.
it? Okay. Well, let's switch gears then, because we could talk a little bit about women we admire. And then I have some women I want to tell you guys about.
All right.
What women do you admire?
Well, we kind of joked about this earlier, but for sure, my mom. I mean,
Moms are amazing.
moms are
Yep.
incredible. Just this weekend, Matt was just telling me, "You're the best mom. You're the best wife." Blah blah blah, which is very nice. It's nice to hear, but I'm thinking, like, I am nowhere near the kind of mom that my mom was. Like, she was above and beyond, like the perfect mom, a saint. I mean, she still is. And I was thinking how lucky I was because Matt's a lot better to me than my dad was to her from a standpoint of not only does he financially take care of our family like my dad did, but he also helps around the house and helps
very
with the kids.
engaged.
Yes. And doesn't look as he still thinks everything's 50-50, right? Like just because he's bringing in the income doesn't mean he's not going to help with the dishes or
He's
mop
still
the
an active
floors
partner.
or- so
Yeah.
so much so. And it's not like he's babysitting the kids. Like
He's their
baby-
dad.
kids are
You
with
don't-
him,
yeah.
right?
He's taking care of
You don't
us.
babysit your own children.
Right. Whereas growing up, my dad told my mom he was not going to babysit us. So if she had a PTA meeting, she would haul us in here into Springfield to stay with my grandparents while she went down to the PTA meeting so that because he wasn't going to keep us. So
That's
very-
fascinating.
yeah, just very different. But yet I still think she was a better mom than I could ever be. Just her level of patience, her involvement with us. And I aspire to be like that. I don't think I ever will be. I don't think I'll ever meet that that gold standard, but I just don't know how she did it and always did so with a smile and just acted like we were her world. Not that my kids aren't mine, but like I also like some me time.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see that from her. Like she was just not and she's still not a selfish person. I think I'm way more selfish than she is. So I really admire that about her. I hope that I can be just a portion of the type of mom that she's been.
Oh yeah, I could never, if I ever do have the opportunity to raise kids, like I could never be as good of a mom as my mom. Like that is just not an achievable goal.
Right.
The best I can settle for is like they would have KK as their grandmother, and that would be so amazing for them. It is interesting to me though. Like my mom is like she's incredible. We all know that. We all know KK at this point, right? We know KK's amazing. I did not grow up in a house like that though, where like my dad was also very much like if he was home, he took care of us, and my parents put themselves through nursing school. And so my dad at one point was working nights and then he'd come home, sleep for a few hours, maybe and then take me to the Ozark pool, and he'd take his nursing school stuff and he would study for nursing school while I played at the pool, or maybe try to take a nap if there were lifeguards, but like that's was our life for a little while he was trying to get through nursing school, but he never stopped being a dad. I mean, he was very much a 50-50 caretaker. And yeah, so that's interesting to me. Did your mom ever say why she didn't want Lee taking care of the kids?
Yeah. So when I was about 6 months old, my aunt, my mom's younger sister, had my cousin who is 2 years older than me, a little less than 2 years older than me. And my aunt was a career woman, and being a mom did not come quite as naturally to her as it did to my mom. And so she called up my mom sometimes, several times a year, and would be just completely stressed out and would be like, can you come take her? Like, can you come take my daughter? So my mom would meet her halfway. My aunt lived in Kansas City, and my mom would meet her halfway, like in Clinton or whatever, and pick up my cousin and bring her home for a couple weeks, and then would go back up to Clinton and to take her back. Like, they would meet halfway. And so this was even before I was born. And then when I was, I think about 6 months old, she did this, and she was taking my cousin Jessica back to my aunt and left me at home with my dad. And I guess I was really fussy, and she pulled in the driveway after being gone for 4 hours or whatever. And he was like standing outside with me, like holding me out as far away from his body as he could.
Oh,
and I
no.
was screaming, and he was just like, never again. You're never leaving me with the kid again.
Oh, wow.
And just like flipped out. And so she didn't. She never left us with him again. And I mean,
oh, wow.
I remember her like going to the store and leaving us at home. And when we were older, it was different.
Right.
But when we were little, I mean, I very much remember her driving into Springfield to take us to our grandparents. If she had, like I said, a PTA meeting or something she was doing with friends, which didn't do a whole lot of. It was her life really just revolved around us kids. But yeah, my grandparents would watch us.
Wow.
But my dad was a workaholic, and he definitely supported us. And a good dad, a fun dad, but very focused and driven on his own, like on his work. And he was self-employed. He ran a machine shop. He owned a machine shop, and then left that. He invented a product, and so he really was on his own. So it wasn't like he worked a 9 to 5 and then came home from the office and could, like take his tie off and chill. Like, he would go on business trips for weeks at a time overseas, trying to get manufacturers for the product. And so I don't know, it was just a different life, I guess. I knew that while there's a lot of qualities in my dad that I admire, that was not the marriage that I wanted. And I'm so thankful that I have a husband that is my teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's good.
What about you, Amanda? Who do you admire?
My mom, she, my mom didn't work while I was in school or while I was growing up. She stayed home when I was home. And when she went to work was when I was at school. And, my brother is 11 years older than me. And my sister is 9 years older than me. So they were, out of the house when I was growing up. And, yeah, she was always there with me. She was, she'd take me where I needed to go, softball practice or stuff with school. And my dad would go to work like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and he'd be home by, 5 o'clock that night while we were gone at softball or wherever. And so she was really kind of like devoted to me and did all my stuff. And then it's like when we got home, that's when she did the normal wife stuff. She cooked dinner, she cleaned, we threw a load of laundry in, she was getting me what I needed to do, get my homework done and all that. So, I mean, I guess she's typical housewife, but, she just handled it with so much grace. She, I don't ever remember her yelling at anybody. If she did, it was really bad. It was one of those where it's like, oh God, she's blowing up something's like, but again, I don't remember her doing that. But if she ever did, it was like, oh, something's bad happening. But no, she was great, Mom. She just, she, like you said, she just focused her life on us, and very, very unselfish woman. She, you know, and I find some things that I do, I can see that she did. And I'm sure, you know, you do this as a mom. Cliff always points this out to me, is if we go somewhere and he's like, why don't you go look at that, see if, you know, something shopping or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is good for the kids. Or, you know, oh, that would look good.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. This is what I meant is for you. And I'm like, well, I'd rather get it for the kids. And my mom always did that. Like, I can literally remember going shopping, like specifically for her. And she's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, no. And I see that. I see myself do that. But, yeah, she was, I mean, she always, I don't know. She was just such a good mom. And it's so, I feel like she's missed out on her grandkids, because they were all so far away when, you know, my brother, his kids were born in Alaska.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
So she went up and saw them when they were born and was with them for a little bit. And then my sisters were in Washington, and then I didn't have my kids till we were back here, and they were in Oregon at that point. So it was like kind of all over the place. So I feel like she missed out on the fun part.
Yeah.
No, she was just a good mom. If I could be half the mom that she was, my dad will tell me that, yeah, I am. But, and I'm just the same with you. You know, Cliff is a great partner. Him and I, there was like a year and a half before we had Jacob. He didn't work for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
So we took the girls out of daycare, and he watched the kids. Yeah. And I was like, this is what you're going to do. I got to work. You're going to do this. And he did. And it was just a great partner. And he's always been a great dad. He's always been really involved and does all that stuff. So, but yeah, I think of, you know, things that my mom did, and hope, like I said, hope I can be half of what she's been. So
yeah,
it's hard to compare, because, you know, we all love our moms, and, you know, you always strive to be like them. But I know there's times when she's probably looking down on me going, what the hell are you doing?
My mom is so strong, which I tell her that, and she's like, I'm not that strong. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, no, you're strong. She's a first-generation college graduate, put herself through nursing school. You know, she got married when she was 17, had 2 babies before she was 20, really put herself through nursing school because she wanted to give her family a better life. And she went to nursing school before my dad did. So my dad was cutting meat in a grocery store, which he's very proud of those days. His favorite dad joke is before he worked in surgery, he was a meat cutter. Whatever. So she went to school first, and she put herself through nursing school. And I mean, they both did. I mean, they were partners, but, you know, first person in the family to have like a true professional job, right? And worked ridiculous hours, picked up overtime, whatever she had to do, and still somehow was Wonder Mom, right? Didn't miss a single game. Neither one of my parents ever missed a single game, performance, any activity we ever did. And I don't understand how they did that, because my dad really climbed the corporate ladder at work, and I still don't know. I don't know how either one of them did that. But yeah, she didn't, and she'd come home exhausted. And I also think whenever you're talking about like shopping and deferring for the kids, my mom absolutely did that. Like, I look at my mom now, and she has more fashion sense than I do. Like, she's gorgeous and has this great sense of style. She didn't have that when we were growing up. And so I used to just think she just didn't care, or just wasn't good at it.
She was doing for the kids.
It's because she spent all of her money on the kids.
Yes.
And made sure that we had the Nike tennis shoes and the expensive Guess sweater that my dad was going to wash and dry after she spent $80 on it, right? Like, I'll never forget that, Dad. You know, like, you know, it's all of that stuff that she made sure we had before she ever cared about herself. And so then there just wasn't any money, energy, or will left for her, right? I mean, it's insane now, because now I think back and I think, oh.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, and when you have your own, you'll be the exact same way.
Yeah.
It's just crazy the way that we emulate our moms without really knowing it, without realizing it. And then you're like, oh shit, yep, there it is.
Yeah. Okay, well, I was thinking through women in history, you know, obviously probably don't get as much clout as male figures in history do. We all know some of them. We all know the stories of Rosa Parks, Florence Nightingale, you know, Maya Angelou. Like, there are some incredible Yeah, there's incredible feminist icons in our history that we can look up to. But I found a great article on oprahdaily.com, 38 inspiring women who changed the world.
Okay.
I promise not to read 38 of them, Lauren.
Okay.
I'm going to see how many you let me get through.
I'll tell you when to cut it off. Shut this down.
I actually pre-gamed this a little bit because I knew you were going to be like, absolutely not. And so I picked out the ones that I thought were going to be the best.
Okay.
Okay. The first one I want to tell you guys about, Katharine Graham. Have you heard of Katharine Graham?
No.
As chairman of the Washington Post for 20 years, Graham was one of the first female publishers of U.S. newspaper and the first woman CEO of Fortune 500 company. Graham led the Washington Post from 1963 to 91, seeing it through its groundbreaking publication of the Pentagon Papers and the Watergate scandal.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Very cool.
Okay, have you guys heard of Wilma Mankiller?
Wait, no.
No.
Like Mankiller?
Yeah, and it's a Native American name, which makes me
Okay.
think that it's probably chosen for her, and that makes me love it so much.
Much more.
Yeah.
Fun fact, my mother's mother, so my mom's sister, so I guess my mom's aunt, married an Indian chief.
That would be your great aunt, right?
Yeah, I don't know. She's Aunt Betty.
Is it your grandma's sister?
My grandma's sister. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, your great aunt.
Your great aunt.
Okay, yeah. She
great aunt
married
married.
an Indian chief,
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Uncle Ed.
Uncle
He
Ed.
had the whole big headdress, and he'd come to school and like tell stories. It was actually
Wow.
really pretty cool.
Wow.
I knew a celebrity when I was a little kid.
But
Okay.
did not have the last name Mankiller, though.
He did not. I can't remember what his last name was. Mom will post it in the Facebook group. Don't
Yep.
worry. We all know she will.
Right.
Okay, Wilma Mankiller. In 1985, Oklahoma native Wilma Mankiller became the first woman to be principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, leading the largest tribe in the United States, and received a Time 100 cover. During her decade-long chiefdom from 1985 to 95, tribal enrollment grew, infant mortality dropped, and employment rates doubled.
Wow.
Wow.
So if that's not a case for a female president, I don't really know what is. It worked for the Cherokee.
Well, and I would probably guess that in a long time, there's probably hasn't been a lot of periods of time where the tribe's grown. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
tribes tend to dissipate,
Yeah.
decrease in numbers. So that's really
That is really
Quite
neat.
incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. Constance Baker Motley. Constance Baker Motley has a long list of historic achievements. In 1964, she became the first African American woman to serve in the New York State Senate. She then became the first woman to be Manhattan Borough president. In 1966, she became the first black female federal judge. Motley won significant civil rights victories in the U.S. Supreme Court, like writing the original complaint in Brown v. Board of Education and representing Dr. King.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
interesting.
that's cool.
That is
That's
neat.
very cool. I
That's a
did
feminist
not
icon.
know that the boroughs had presidents.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Maybe
I'm
not,
guessing it's like some sort of,
like a mayor type position, you think? Or
yeah, or like a, I don't know, like a supercharged HOA type association.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. I'm sure it's a very important role. I mean, it was important enough that they mentioned it.
Yeah.
But I think representing Dr. King is pretty cool.
yeah. Maybe more important.
Jeanette Rankin. Rankin was the first woman and one of the few suffragists elected to Congress. Though she is applauded today, her decision to vote against the U.S. participation in World War I and World War II was met with disapproval at the time. After her election in 1916, she said, "I may be the first woman member of Congress, but I won't be the last."
That is true.
Isn't that cool?
That is very cool.
And you think about what she had to go through
I can't imagine being the first woman of anything.
No.
and just the sexism that she had to run into.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this next one is my favorite one on the list. Have you guys seen the movie Hidden Figures?
I have not seen
I
that.
have
No, I've heard about it. I want to watch it, though.
This is mandatory film watching for every woman
Okay.
in the United States.
All right.
Okay.
This is mandatory for both you and Cameron.
Okay.
You guys need to have a mother-daughter night and watch Hidden Figures.
Okay.
I still like get emotional when I watch it.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll have to
You haven't watched it either?
No.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it's such a good movie. Okay. It's about Katherine Johnson and the women she worked with. So this says, no longer a hidden figure, Katherine Johnson's famous mathematical computations, which launched astronaut John Glenn into orbit in 1962 and later sent Apollo 11 to the moon, were finally highlighted in the 2016 movie Hidden Figures. In 2015, Johnson received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. Following her death at age 101 in 2021, Northrop Grumman named a spacecraft after her, and her posthumous okay, whatever. We're not going to say that. I gave up.
Interesting.
They named a spacecraft after her.
People didn't even know she was part of sending people to space for so long because everyone, it's just such a sexist world in mathematics and science.
Well, and if she was black, correct?
And she was black.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So to be a black woman in that world.
Yeah.
That's
Kevin Costner was in that, right?
no, I don't think so.
I think he maybe was, but more importantly, you've got like Octavia Spencer and all kinds of other incredible women who are in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, is Kevin Costner in it?
I don't know. He may have played the boss. I don't really know who that was.
I don't know, but he
Octavia Spencer's more important. And that tells you what kind of a sexist world we live in. That's who we think of before we think of tragedy. Or Octavia Spencer, who is one of the most incredible actresses of our
That's
generation.
actually who I thought of in my head.
Okay, good. Love me some Octavia.
But when I think of her, I think of The Help.
And the chocolate pie.
Yup.
Okay. I have two more for you. Raven Wilkinson. Today we praise Misty Copeland as the first African-American woman principal ballet dancer at American Ballet Theater Company. But Raven Wilkinson set the groundwork for black ballerinas, and she also happens to be one of Copeland's inspirations and mentors. Wilkinson was one of the first African-American dancers to perform with a major ballet company, the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo.
It's beautiful.
She's gorgeous, yes. Growing up, we did a lot of, Misty Copeland was just really popular when I was like a late teen. And my mom and my sister and I all loved dance. And so we did a lot of, like, I think there was like a documentary made about her and she was just in the news a lot. So we followed Misty Copeland's career. So this one is a cool one, I think.
Oh, wow. That's neat.
You mean you did more with dance than just like in 4th grade at Sunshine?
I was like the worst dancer Sunshine's ever seen. Sunshine School of Dance was like sad to see me sign up for their classes. But I am a fine arts lover and will go see ballet nonstop. I've never had the opportunity to see Misty Copeland. I'm sure she's retired at this point. I can't imagine, or I don't know, but I have never had the opportunity to see her, but I have had the opportunity to see multiple ballets and love it. So
I have had the opportunity to see you do ballet.
It's rough. It's real rough. I don't recommend it.
Not as rough as mine was.
Don't recommend it. Okay, last one for you. Sylvia Rivera. Along with Marsha P. Johnson, Rivera, a Venezuelan Puerto Rico trans woman, was one of the original activists who spoke up for trans people during the gay rights movement. She participated in the Stonewall Uprising, launched the Street Transvite Action Revolutionaries, STAR, organization in 1970, which provided aid and shelter for trans youth living in New York City, and fought for transgender people to be included in New York Sexual Orientation Non-Discrimination Act. The Sylvia Rivera Law Project was named in her honor and serves as a resource to protect the rights of LGBTQ plus community.
That's cool.
That's very cool. Yeah.
These are a bunch of women who will accomplish more than any of us combined in our lifetime.
Yep.
But I love their stories. I feel like they're so inspiring.
Yes.
Yeah,
They are.
definitely. What's that sound?
Hot Mess Express pulling into the station. I thought, what better way to celebrate a podcast celebrating women than have a hot mess story about a ridiculous man.
You can just say, stupid man.
Tell us all about it. Amanda?
Well, this one is from the New York Post. It is written by Ben Cost, and it was published on July 5th of this year. Boater uses live alligator's jaws to open a beer can. The most Florida thing I've seen all day is what it says.
That's about right.
Yep.
He deployed a Gatorade. Ha ha ha. God.
Okay.
No can opener, no problem. A reveler is going viral after using a wild alligator's jaws to open a beer in what viewers are dubbing the most Florida thing ever. The jaw-dropping clip was first posted to the X account Catch Up Bites, but was recently shared by user Wall Street Silver, amassing more than 3.1 million views. In the Jawsome footage, the exact
Jawsome.
yeah. The exact location and creator are unclear. An unidentified boater uses his hand to lure a small gator to his vessel. The reptile swims up to the boat with its jaws agape, prompting the daredevil to pierce the can with its teeth as his fellow bros erupt into cheers. He then hands the brew to a fellow reveler who shotguns the beer, earning high fives from his buddies. Ex-commentators are amazed by the alligator stunt, which many viewers felt epitomized the Florida man, defined online as a person who pulls crazy and outlandish stunts like this one. Tell me you're from Florida without telling me you're from Florida. I didn't know Florida people were that crazy.
I have to imagine the majority of Floridians see an alligator and just don't mess with it.
I would think so.
I have a lot of friends that live in Florida. None of them are using an alligator's mouth
To open a beer.
I mean, that's stupid. Like, that is a whole new level of
That's
stupid.
a whole
That
new
is
level of stupid.
Crazy.
Okay, well, no matter what happened to you this week, or no matter what stupid decisions you made, you probably didn't make a decision that stupid to try to use an alligator's mouth to open your beer can.
No.
God.
We have bottle.
Yeah, the video. We'll post this.
Is it a can or a bottle?
It's a can.
But it's even more stupid.
It
Yeah.
doesn't even, you don't even need help to open it.
No.
You just use the pull tab.
Yeah. Or
That's
a
the male
key
race.
or
I don't know what to tell
something.
you.
Yeah, that's again why
The
women
male
live
sex,
longer.
I guess. Maybe not a race. It feels like they're a different race.
They, sometimes it does.
Potentially huffed a lot of drugs and lost a lot of
All right, we'll post it on our Facebook page. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this week. We hope that you had a wonderful week or have a wonderful week ahead of you. And please engage with us in the Facebook group. We're looking forward to talking to you guys. Tell us what women you admire and inspiring things that you live up to, or your stupid man stories. We'll take those.
Yeah, those
too.
are good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know what podcast topics you'd like us to cover. We're working on planning out our fall schedule. So tell us what topics you want to hear from us in Facebook group, or you could email us hotmessroundtable@gmail.com, hotmessroundtable@gmail.com. And we're looking for more people to do their hot mess confessions. So come on, tell us your life story, or just laugh and hang out with us.
Yeah. Have a cocktail or two.
Yeah. Take a shot of Malort. Malort.
Malort.
Malort.
Malort.
We'll give you some Malort. We won't make you do
We
that.
won't make you
that
do
was
that.
bad.
No,
We
that
wouldn't
was
do that
bad.
again to ourselves. Thanks, guys.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.